Hello and welcome to Walk the Cinema podcast. It's the first episode after Christmas, so we thought it would make a lot of sense to cover Holy Mountain because it's so cheery.
Right.
Yeah. So we're gonna give you the thoughts on Holy Mountain and Alejandro Jodorowsky in general.
So Holy Mountain, this is something you had watched without me.
Yeah.
And then a couple days later you were like, we gotta watch it together. And I was like, okay. I kind of had some sort of idea of what to expect going into it. Like, I knew it was pretty artsy, a lot of symbolism, that kind of thing.
Uh-huh.
But I don't think there's anything that you can really do to prepare yourself for watching this for the first time.
No. We watched it together. It wasn't even my first time. We did nothing but look at the screen. We're not on our phones or, drinking or eating anything. We're just taking it in.
Mm-hmm.
And even at full concentration, it's still, hard to grasp. And some people think that's the purpose of it. Like, it's packed with the symbolism and the imagery, and other people think it's all crap.
Yeah.
It's just the self-indulgence of the director because he is kind of an asshole, but really interesting. And all of his movies captivate me greatly. Even though they're not super different, I feel. Like his early work. Before this, he did El Topo and... what was the other one? Fanto and Liz. And those are both kind of, a journey where people are trying to find their ultimate goal, and throughout it they find stuff that doesn't really make much sense if you're just looking at it without thinking about it.
I mean, at its core, this movie makes sense, It has
narrative, I guess.
Yeah, the narrative part. It has 3 acts, really.
It does have 3 acts.
You have the first act, which is, like, we meet the thief, and kind of his introduction into this world where he meets several people.
Right. The first act is not just to meet the thief, it's also to, immerse you in this world.
Mm-hmm.
To, prepare you that you're not going to get anything fed to you.
Yeah. And then the second act, I think at the end of the first act is when we meet the alchemist, and then the alchemist is kind of like showing him that he can become something more than what he is, but while also showing him the bad parts of the world by introducing them to the 7 people that represent the planets. Yeah. Because each one has their own little story line to go along with their character.
Yeah.
And then the third act is him and everybody else kind of going through this enlightened period.
Mm-hmm.
Where they're going up the Holy Mountain.
Uh-huh.
And becoming, like, more of them, like, I don't know how to describe it. Like, they're becoming
Well, the point of that is to break them down as individuals.
Yeah.
Right? To let them not have individuality, but then you do see they're still their own people because you see their fears of death. Right? Everyone has that last image of death that's totally different. Everyone's just so different that, they're always going to be individuals. They're always going to be selfish.
Yeah, I think that's part of what maybe being human is.
Yeah. Because they are human, and even though they're like the most powerful thieves, the alchemist says that any human could do this. Any person is capable of this.
Yeah.
So they're not special just because, they're thieves.
Yeah, and I mean, they do have to, like, burn all their money, before embarking on this journey, so it's not necessarily, like...
Which they burned their money, right? That's, you reminded me of that scene, they're burning their money. And the thief, is trying to keep his money, but then ultimately burns it and he just has a couple bills. Mm-hmm. And even though they just burnt all their money and they have absolutely nothing, they're still laughing that he only has 2 bills.
Yeah, which in that moment, he has more than anybody else.
Yeah, but they're still laughing at him for being this petty thief that's not very good at it.
Yeah. And I don't know. There's a lot of symbolism that I don't think anybody fully understands.
That's part of it. I
you
think
know?
what I like the most about it, it's not that it's good or bad or nice to look at or a good story. I just think it's so challenging. But at the same time, it's rewarding. Because I do feel every time I get a little bit more of it, I do feel like I'm focusing on different parts of what's happening every time I watch it. But it is beautiful. It's really well shot. It's shot with a lot of intent. A lot of the scenes are very well composed. And they keep your attention, and I was never bored. Even if you think it's totally crap, I don't think it's boring.
I will say that there are certain scenes that I really like. Like, they're pretty aesthetic. I think that the scene where he meets the alchemist for the first time in this rainbow-colored room is really cool. And when the alchemist in his all-white outfit stands up from his throne and starts walking really slow, like, around him and stuff. Like, I thought that was really well done and really interesting to look at. And just, I don't know, not that I understand, like, the significance of it, particularly besides it being their first meeting, but it's aesthetically pleasing.
Well, he does become the new disciple of the alchemist. The alchemist trying to kind of make him the next alchemist, the next master.
Right.
But, you know, he shows him that he can turn him from excrement to gold. He literally does it, right? He literally turns excrement into gold, but that's also, you know, what he's trying to do with the thief.
Yeah.
From like a street wandering thief that has nothing to something, a master, someone that can teach others how to achieve what they want to achieve.
I thought this would be slightly more religious, like a religious allegory. Going into it, like, I think it kind of mostly is, you know, at the beginning. Like, the first act is pretty much, I'd say, exclusively religious. You have the thief who has a strong resemblance to Jesus Christ.
Yeah, he's definitely a Christ-like figure in image only.
Yeah.
Which is, I guess it's the point. Because he looks like Jesus, but he's like a terrible person. Yeah,
but that's why he gets the cast molded out of him. But then you also have, like, him carrying his own, like, the cross and meeting the prostitutes, which, you know,
very biblical.
In biblical times, or in the Bible, he meets, you know, Mary Magdalene, and she was a prostitute that he was friends with. Historically, some people say that she might have been his wife. Don't really know. In the Bible, it doesn't say that. Just says they were friends. But yeah, it has that kind of stuff, and I don't know. I felt like, and then when we meet the alchemist, he's in all white. However, he has, like, those goats next to him, and I kind of originally interpreted that, before I'd seen the rest of the movie, as him being, like, a symbol for the devil. But I don't really feel like, because with goats, that's kind of been a symbol for, like, witchcraft, devilish, demonic type stuff before.
Yeah. You said that, and I said, you know, I just watched The Witch, the one with Anya Taylor-Joy, directed by Robert Eggers, and the goat is literally the devil. So, you know, the goat symbolism is one of the most common ones for the devil. Yeah,
so, but, like, further going into the movie, it doesn't really feel like that's what he's going for. Who knows, it might be. He probably has talked about it, at least some of the symbolism, before.
Yeah.
And I just
honestly, I just don't like looking at it. I do feel like part of it for me is interpreting myself. And, like, just, I don't know. We don't own this. I really want to, like, find a release of this that I can own and just watch a lot.
I, like, saw that it had its, you know, limited release, and then it wasn't released widespread for, like, 30 years because of was something that had to do with the owner of the distribution rights got into a fight with him because he wanted him to make a movie, like a specific movie, and he refused. Yeah. So then he was like, well, I'm going to keep the rights and not release it. So
he has done director for hire jobs. But everything he's done prior to this was super controversial, and this wasn't different. There was like riots over this movie being sacrilegious and just overall disgusting to some people.
I wouldn't go far as to say it was disgusting. There are a few parts where I was like, this, to me, this seems gratuitous. Like, it does seem like you're just doing something for the sake of...
But I think that's part of it. I
shock.
think that's him mocking the industry.
Maybe.
I think the shock that he's using is him being ironic towards the industry. I mean, he mocks Disney with Mickey Mouse. He mocks the Oscars, right? When they're leaving the Pantheon bar. The guy says he created the Academy, he can give you awards all the time, but that's not what he's interested in. Right. He's interested in building his own path.
Yeah, I guess, but I feel like at what point do you become the thing that you're making fun of? You
that's
know what
true,
I mean?
And I understand that because my biggest struggle with this was feeling pretentious for liking it. But at the end of the day, I gotta like it. I can't lie to myself. If I like it, I like it. And I mean, not that I care what other people think.
Right.
But I don't like it because I'm pretentious about it. I can't do that. I mean, there's movies that people love that I don't like.
That's very true.
Yeah, because I can't just pretend I like something because it's the accepted form of criticism towards it. But this one's just really, it's really enjoyable and it's more than a movie.
But I feel like the opposite's true about not liking a film that's highly regarded. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you could, but that's more for like the Hollywood blockbuster type stuff. Like, oh, if you like, La La Land, whatever, Lady Bird, I don't know.
Right.
Those are both okay. They're good. La La Land's actually pretty good.
You mentioned 2 movies I haven't seen.
Right.
So, but I don't know. I have a lot of conflicting feelings on it.
That's understandable.
Like, I don't hate it, but I can't in good faith say that it's what I think it was trying to do.
I think it is. I think he did everything he was trying to do. And we can't really analyze all the symbolism. There's a lot of people that have done it, and you can only cover a very small amount. It's one of those movies that you're always going to discover something else. Even with something that's not super symbolic like Pulp Fiction, there's still stuff that people just found out.
Right.
So with this, I mean, unless you're Alejandro, and even then, he did a lot of drugs. So I don't know if he remembers everything.
Well, he did a lot. I heard that he did a lot of drugs for this in specific, but that he himself is not really he doesn't really do that from my reading.
Casually,
yeah,
right. And I know El Topo, which is the movie he did before this. Everyone was on a lot of drugs, and that's the movie that got this funded by John Lennon, Yoko Ono.
The Beatles manager.
Yeah,
I forget his name, but
so like there was a lot of people behind this, and I know this influenced like David Lynch.
Oh, I can definitely see how it influences people, and I do. There are some things that I like about it, just generally. Like, I don't love everything about it, but I do like some parts of it. Like, I like those types of symbolism, or I don't know, just how he did the 7 planets. With the characters. They got a little bit of backstory on who they are, what, like, it had some type of criticism towards society or how things are done.
Right. It's more towards, powerful people and companies.
Yeah. I like that aspect. There were some things that I didn't like about stuff inside of it. I guess, inside of those scenes.
Yeah.
But overall, I liked those
The
scenes.
message of the scene.
Yeah.
Maybe the delivery missed, is what you're saying.
Yeah, the delivery, I think, on some things kind of missed for me because, I don't know, there's like sometimes I wonder what the intent of directors like that direct movies like this are. I'm trying to think of like other movies that I could say that as well. Like sometimes Stanley Kubrick, I guess.
Right.
Kind of reminds me of it similarly, where it's like, I don't know what your intention behind this was. Like, I don't know if you have pure intentions, is what I mean. I don't know if that makes sense, but...
Yeah, I mean, I can't tell you what his intentions were. Only you could. But I'm analyzing the final product. And I think it's the most interesting movie I've ever seen.
It's definitely interesting. I wouldn't be opposed to watching it again.
Oh, you will.
I'm sure, but like...
I'm working through his whole body of work.
Mm-hmm.
So, I still don't have the full grasp of him. But his two most important movies, I'd say, is this and El Topo, and those are very good, and I can see how impactful they are. And not only do they influence other people, I can see the influences inside of them. Like, I can see a lot of Fellini in Jodorowsky's films. So he's definitely, he's thinking for himself, but he's getting a lot from other people, too.
Right. I did kind of like the ending scene as well, where, they finally get to the top of the mountain and it's all mannequins.
Yeah. Just blank mannequins.
Yeah. And he says something about how they're more human now than they were before, kind of. Like, not in those words, but that's kind of what I interpreted it.
I think it did say you're more human than ever.
Yeah, but I think it also kind of relates or insinuates, like, the false idols type thing.
Yeah.
Where you shouldn't follow false idols. You shouldn't grasp onto something that's kind of like...
But it could also mean that eternity's not real. It doesn't exist. Mm-hmm. It's, just a false image that once you look closer, you can tell, but from afar, it looks real.
Right.
There's a lot of interpretations, and that's what's fun about it. It really is fun. Like, I'm watching it, and I'm just, my brain's on overtime, trying to make sense of different aspects of it every time.
Yeah, I get that. But I don't know. I told you privately what some of my griefs with it are, which I won't go into because I feel like, it might just be...
I'll go into my biggest grief about it.
Picky. Mm-hmm.
Not just this movie, but all of his movies is animal abuse is not great, obviously.
Yeah, I thought about that too.
I do hate it. And... you don't know what's real and what's not, but some of them are obviously real. He does kill toads in this. He just does. And
well, it is like a product of its time, so you can't really necessarily criticize him for that.
I don't like it, and I don't respect that, but it is done, and, the animals died, so at this point, I can only, try to look past it.
Yeah.
But going into the future, it's not like if someone's doing it actively, I will let that pass.
See, okay, I guess I will go into like at least one of my gripes with it because I have like alluded to it about how like you're criticizing something, but in the process, I think you kind of become that thing that you're criticizing.
Okay.
For example, that French movie, Cuties, that came out. In 2020, the director was trying to criticize, social media, little girls growing up too fast, like over-sexualizing children.
Yeah.
But she kind of did it in a way where it kind of looked like she might have been
doing it herself,
yeah.
Honestly, my biggest problem with that movie, it's as boring as hell. It's terribly written. I know people hate it because of the little kids. I just hate it because it's a bad movie.
Yeah, but you know what I mean? It's kind of like that, where I think sometimes he kind of delves into that as well a little
Yeah.
bit.
Yeah, but, that's up to the viewer.
I guess, but again, I think about intention. I don't know what his intentions were, but...
But if he had the intention of mocking it, he becomes that in the eye of the person that doesn't understand it, which, it's not bad to not understand it either.
Mm-hmm.
People understand different things. There's movies I don't understand.
Right. I feel like you're insulting me by saying
No,
I don't understand it.
I don't think you don't understand it.
Uh-huh.
I don't. I didn't say that. You can rewind. I didn't say that. I'm just saying that about cuties mostly.
Hmm.
And even if you do understand it, you can still be mad at it. You can still think they went about it the wrong way.
That's kind of my opinion on it. I do understand where she was coming from, because, this isn't about cuties, but it's just kind of a similar topic.
No, this is a cuties episode.
Like I get her gripe with it, because I also kind of have a gripe with social media and over sexualizing children, because there's so many things on the internet that can make a child look like an adult, filters wise, and
and not just that, everything that's fake about social media can hurt not just children but adult psyches.
Yeah.
So
like
there's a lot to criticize.
Yeah. Like that I understand her purpose, but I do think that like showing it in a way that's, I don't know. Anyway, not that it matters in this particular thing, but that's kind of what I thought about when I watched this movie, because I don't know, I feel like sometimes it's like maybe you're being a little hypocritical.
Okay, but he's alive.
Yeah.
So, in the small chance he listens to this, contact us, Tell us what you were thinking.
That he's going to contact
Hey,
us.
I don't know where he lives. Does he live in France?
I don't
Mexico,
know.
Chile? I don't know.
He's like 92. There's no way.
He can still use the internet. I don't know what you're talking about.
But yeah, I heard that he was supposed to make a sequel to El Topo.
Well, he wanted to, but I doubt it. I did a sequel as like a graphic novel.
Yeah. Oh, maybe it was that. But I saw like in 2016 he
he wanted to make a movie, but that didn't get funded.
Yeah.
And he didn't help himself with, the rumors that he started about the movie.
Yeah. That's another thing that, like, I get that he's trying to be like
an edgelord.
Yeah, kind of edgy and like controversial, but in my opinion, sometimes, like, I don't know, you can be controversial and your movie is good, or like you can be controversial like organically, but I think like sometimes he's kind of controversial inorganically. You know what I mean?
It's just him.
Yeah, like he's the one that's creating the controversy, like on purpose.
Yeah.
To draw up interest, or
yeah. I mean, he's trying to sell movies that are really hard to sell. So I kind of get what he's doing, and if you know him, you know what he's doing. But if you don't know him, which is most people, you're gonna think, what the hell's wrong with this guy?
Yeah.
And I know him, kinda, and I think, what the hell's wrong with this guy sometimes, but
yeah.
Overall, I enjoy his body of work so far. Again, I haven't finished it.
Considering this was my first introduction to it, I have no idea what to think, but...
This was my first, too. I made sure I started with this. And then I watched it again.
So, I didn't rate it because I have no idea what I would rate this.
Boo. That's a weak response.
I'm sorry, I just
don't
can't.
Cop out.
I just can't do it. Like, I don't have the it hasn't come to me yet. Maybe it will later, but it hasn't. So what did you give it though?
A 9.
It's pretty solid.
It's not a 10. I don't know. It's not a movie, so it is hard to rate numerically. Not that it matters, but
yeah, that's probably because it's not like a movie. It is more artistic.
It's just the experience didn't feel like a 10, but it felt as close as you can get for me. And it might be a 10 eventually. Because we're not done watching this. This might be the first movie we revisit. How fun would that be? Just try to remember what we said and then say new things.
Yeah.
There's a lot to say. We could make a whole podcast about it. Probably. Just go scene by scene or character by character.
Yeah, I'm sure. Talk about all of the symbolism involved in it.
Yeah, we didn't talk about him throwing the deformed man into the water because it's his imagination.
Yeah.
That's a good one. Or him waking up to all of his casts.
Yeah.
That's a nice shot, even though it's creepy as heck. And we could also go individually about all the 7 thieves.
Yeah.
There's a lot. And that's what I like about it, that there's a lot.
But I think that's all we have for this episode. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, rate us on the platform that you're listening to us to. And we will see you
next year.
Yeah, next year.